exactly.
You have the ridiculous scenario. Anyone can set up a meme coin that's backed by nothing, is worth nothing, and pump it up, and that's not
Mm.
illegal.
Yeah,
Whereas if we want to set up a meme coin backed by gold or silver and started selling it, even if all the gold and silver was there, we'd be breaking the securities laws.
yeah,
Encourages scams. That's a perfect example of how government regulation encourages scammers, because any
yeah.
scammer can put out a so-called meme coin, which is basically something that's backed by nothing. There's no tangible value to it at all. Anyone can go and pump it up. It's not. There's nothing to stop anyone from doing that. I mean, to be fair, I don't blame anyone for doing it if they've got a large social media following or whatever, and they want to pump up a meme coin. If people are stupid enough to buy it, they deserve to lose all the money, quite frankly.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point you make, and it's proof in the pudding.
Regulation by government, to my mind, is a bad thing. Financial regulators don't help anything.
This red tape, it's sent the market down this whole route. And everything you look at Twitter now is just meme coin, just people just spamming it. Probably because they're already caught holding the bag and like, please come save me, just come save me. Put this in the group chat, send this around to Andrew Tate or whatever, and maybe he'll pump it up and things like that.
I mean, I don't blame these influencers at all for
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
that, because people, again, it goes back to what we're saying. People should do their due diligence. If you're paying real money for something that has got zero value, then you're going to lose your money. And we spoke recently about Trump's stock.
hmm,
It's got a market cap. I don't know what it's at now. It's probably up to about 8 billion market cap now.
yeah.
I mean, that company, at best, it's worth $100 million. Everyone that's buying it is going to lose the money. Okay, you might make money, on a swing trade.
People know that they are joining a scam to scam other people when they're buying meme coin. So what our other video, which I haven't posted yet, but maybe I'll link some of this to it, is very true. Government regulation leads to scams. That is exactly the case.
Yeah,
We
that's,
know
as, well, as we
we
as
know
we
from
spoke
a
about before.
personal and physical level. I mean, the things that have happened to you, me, and my family. Not that we would do anything like that, but it makes you angry and want to just step so far away from the government that you can see how these things end up being the case.
The thing is, it's sad that governments have such a big role in the lives of people. Government should be something that nobody really has to think about. People should be able to get on with their business, run their business, do their jobs, have their life with their families, and never think about government.
Mm.
But now everybody, government plays such a large role in people's lives. Everybody has to think about it, and it shouldn't be the case. But yeah, these government regulation is a perfect example of how it directly leads to scams. Because if you want, as we discussed previously, if you wanted to create a coin that actually had real value,
Mm.
it's illegal. So if you want to say, right, I'm creating a coin that's backed by gold, it's going to pay a dividend of 2% a year. You can cash it in for gold anytime you want. That'd be a great coin. But
Exactly.
if you set that up, it'd be illegal. You need permission from the SEC or whatever
Mm.
to be setting that up, and you're probably not going to get it. So you can set up a scam coin called Gold Coin and actually state this is backed by nothing, and it's fine. That's allowed. But actually setting one up that is backed by real gold and pays a dividend would be illegal.
And these the regulators get things so wrong. Obviously we can talk about our own stuff, but if you look at Ripple, for example, they were saying that it was something that they needed to regulate, seen as, yeah, I guess a security rather than a place to exchange and transfer money. And they said that, well, then months later, after all the damage was done to Ripple, which is now ripping, obviously, they admitted that they were wrong, which is like, yeah, thanks for that. We already knew that, but you guys didn't understand didn't understand crypto properly. So please don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and join our Discord chat room linked in the description so you can see these plays and get in these opportunities when we do. Yeah, it's not ideal.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, it's the same thing with all these bank account closures, like we've all experienced.
They treat people like, I mean, terrorists, for white collar stuff, who might even be innocent in their own right, and then you can't even fund your own defense because, like you say, your money's in the bank, it's frozen.
With all these anti-money laundering rules that we're all subjected to nowadays, and they're complete nonsense, because anyone who is actually involved in a business that needs to do that finds a workaround for these rules easily. So all they end up doing is inconveniencing everybody else, having bank accounts shut down arbitrarily.
Mm.
It happens to, I think, almost everyone in business. It certainly happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to you.
Hmm.
It's happened to almost everyone that I know. They've had business bank accounts closed down for no reason. The banks don't tell you why they're closing it down. Of
Don't
course,
tell you
Nigel
more.
Farage famously had his bank accounts closed down by Coots and kicked up a fuss about it. But that's the tip of the iceberg. And again, that's because of nonsensical government regulations
Mm.
about money laundering, which is a bullshit regulation in itself. It's something that it's not a. It shouldn't be a crime. There are no victims
Mm.
to the so-called crime of money laundering. Where you can't point to a victim, there shouldn't be a crime. And they have all these arbitrary rules where banks are threatened with massive fines if they don't comply with them. So they're kind of forced to close down accounts, and they get the
Yeah.
they get the bad rap for closing these accounts. But really, it's because they're trying to comply with laws that don't make any sense.
And then they get it wrong so often because most people that they're closing have got nothing to do with what they're.
Yeah, because they're super cautious.
Yeah.
Because they're forced to be super cautious.
And they have to be seen to be doing something as well, probably, which is
Yeah,
then
yeah. Well, they
sorts
get
of other issues. Yeah.
well as you know, we've worked in the city, and every company, no matter how large or small, has got to have a compliance department,
Hmm.
and it's like an anti-business department. They stop
Hmm.
you from doing business,
Yeah.
and anybody who works in finance knows that it's
Hmm.
regulation is out of control, and you've got these huge regulators. Like in the UK, we have the FCA, which are just a load of incompetent buffoons.
No, exactly.
And people take them seriously, and they want to deal with regulated companies. But anyone can become a regulated company and then start scamming people, basically.
Yeah, and actually,
It's a,
I feel as though sentiment is changing a little bit. I mean, we've seen things that happened to Nigel Farage, the post office scandal, even Andrew Tate. Although there's very immoral practices he did, but he's been basically given all his stuff back. But the reason I've mentioned that is mainly even as people I go to church, we were talking about bank accounts being closed. Pretty sure most people I speak to have had at least one bank account closed. But then it's a question of were you then targeted a bit beyond that, like maybe you or me, and had multiple are closed, even though it might not even been you or it might have been someone you knew. It seems as though people are at least aware of it, but the fact that most people I speak to have had some issue or at least one closure, but then specifically not being told why is one of the biggest issues I think that they are causing themselves. And it makes the government look dodgy. Like, why aren't you telling me why you've closed my bank account? You've told me why. I can then change things to adapt
yeah,
for that
you
situation.
just get a letter saying you've got 60 days to close your account. You have this bullshit letter. We've done a review of your accounts, and you've got 60 days to piss off. Basically, that's what they say. But it's not just the UK this happens in. I don't know if you heard the interview that Mark Andreessen did with Joe Rogan recently, and he was
Oh, right.
talking about a lot of well-established big players in the tech industry in Silicon Valley having their bank accounts closed down for exactly the same thing happening. And Elon Musk weighed in as well. It may well have happened to him. I don't know. But
Yeah.
all these super rich guys in the US are having the bank accounts closed down
Mm,
too because of government regulations there. So this is a worldwide thing,
mm.
which
It
when
could be drastically terrible for people. These obviously billionaires. There's one thing I wanted to say which is hilarious. Tristan Tate, he was saying on a his Revolut was being shut down, and I don't advocate for lying at all in any situation, but he was saying to the Revolut people, "Oh, you're closing my account. I need that money. I'm gonna die. I'll kill myself and my family. I'm gonna be able to feed. I'm gonna be able to feed my family. Blah blah blah." And Revolut gave those most pathetic single like one-liner replies, and then he said, and then literally he obviously he was lying, but it highlighted actually there was no care from the bank's
they
point
don't
of
care,
view.
they don't care,
They don't care that that person is literally going to die, or not be able to feed their family, or not be able to have any finance whatsoever. They don't care. The funny fact is, my experience of when they shut down banks is actually when you have no money in your bank account as well. So they're not even doing their job, even if they were going to be doing their job. But that might be because the banks are actually nice in a way. It might be against everything we've said here. Maybe the banks are, maybe in previous videos, maybe the banks aren't as bad as we think they are, but maybe they're not quite as bad because they wait until you're at the lowest point? You know,
Well,
I only had a couple hundred quid in my account when one's been frozen. Whereas,
well,
yeah,
it depends on the bank. I had a friend in Monaco, banking with one of the big banks in Monaco, and he had a few million quid or a few million euros in his account there, and he got a call from his account manager at the bank one day. And the account manager said, "Hey, the police are here just now to give us an order to freeze your account. Move your money right now." In fact, they gave him like a few minutes notice before he accepted the notice from the police, so he was able to move all his money immediately and avoid it being frozen.
Yeah, well, I'm pleased he was able to do that, but at the same time, from their point of view, and thankfully they are just inept people, that they didn't even succeed in what they were trying to do, but they do, you know, they can do, and they can cause all sorts of other issues, because not having a bank account could cause a huge number of issues that cost people money and ruins them financially. But yeah, that is hilarious. This is definitely going to make it to the end of that.
If people can structure their lives not to use banks, we've had this discussion on here before. If you can structure your life to just keep a few months worth of expenses in your bank account and have the rest of your assets held elsewhere, preferably outside your home country, in different currencies, different asset types, in non-bank locations, then you're going to be safe when this house of cards eventually comes crashing down, or they try to force everybody into a central bank digital currency, which is what they would all love to do, because then they have complete control over you. If all your money is in a central bank digital currency and there's no cash anymore, then they can press a button and freeze your account at any time. They can even force you to spend money by a certain date. They can have expiring money. They can make you make sure you don't buy things like flights.
We were forced to sell shares.
And this kind of thing.
They forced us to sell shares in companies that we had invested in, and their opinion was, "Oh, we believe that value of those shares are going to go down, so you have to sell them before it loses value." So that's just ridiculous. Like, there's just that was literally their wording. I mean, I wish I probably could screenshot it, but I don't know if it was partly 2021.
And you can apply that to anything about government. It has the opposite effect. Anything government does, it has the opposite effect of what they intend to do.
That's why
government's prohibiting drugs. Again, people may say, well, it's a good thing to prohibit heroin and cocaine and things like that. But what does that do, prohibiting drugs? It makes selling those drugs more profitable. The dealers want to get people addicted, so give kids free drugs to get them addicted, so they're a long-term profitable customer. So again, prohibiting drugs creates the opposite effect of what people may assume that it does. It's almost like the governments are in cahoots with the large drug dealers, because they're the ones that benefit from prohibition of drugs.
Is something illegal or is it immoral? I'd say
they're not the same. It's quite often they're the opposite. Quite often doing something legal is completely immoral, and vice versa.
Yeah.
In the modern world, great leaders resolve their conflicts with words.
As for me, I like the stock.
Order filled.